What's going on, everybody? Today is Thursday, August 29th. You are listening to episode one, the very first episode
Pilot.
of Picks and Parleys. Um, Obviously, this is a brand new show. Kind of what we're gonna go for here is once a week we're gonna do recap the previous week NFL. We're gonna track all the big college football storylines, and then we're gonna bet the board, bet the slate for the upcoming NFL week. Maybe sprinkle in a little bit of a playoff chase, MLB playoffs when we get to that point. But for now, it's football season. It is the best time to responsibly re-up on your sports betting app. Um, and speaking of that, we're gonna start with some picks here. We're ripping some futures. We've each got three picks, is what we're going for. We've got a lock, a long shot, and something a little spicy in between, a little spicy meatball in between. But let's talk some ball. We got ball in the mouth. I'm sure everybody in here does. So who's got a lock that they want to rip?
Right over here, brother.
Mags.
Yep. Yep. So my lock of the week. Um, not I guess technically it's a future. It's about 2 days into the future. Sticking in college ball rather than going to the NFL. I prefer the amateur stuff. I am starting in Morgantown, West Virginia, and I'm taking Penn State. I got the line at 8.5, -8.5. I think it got down to -8 already. Um, Plain and simple, James Franklin covers. That's his shtick. I got a little statistic over here for you. Let me find it here. James Franklin is only beat by Utah, Kansas State, Washington State, and Temple in terms of ROI if you bet on them with the spread since he's been at Penn State. And if you took out 2014 and 15, those two sanction years, they're first. 19% ROI against the spread. Talking about West Virginia, Penn State's new offensive coordinator, too. Eric, what's his name?
Well,
I can't pronounce it. Andy K, as I call him, head coach at Kansas. You might say Kansas. They used to play in the Big 12. They still do. Last time they played at West Virginia was 2 years ago. They put up 55 points on West Virginia. So something to watch. Bad weather. I like a late cover there, and I don't see the West Virginia front seven matching that Penn State offensive line, even though I think it's four new starters, four new guys coming in that year. I just think that the size and just talent of Penn State rolls over on West Virginia, and you know it's
yeah.
not close late.
I just wanted you to pronounce it because it seems like a very you thing to not
I
be
think it's
confident.
Kotelnicki.
It's total Nicky, I would
Kotelnicki,
say.
yeah.
I would say it's total Nicky. And I think he schemes better because he's played in. I mean, the Big 12. He had Kansas's offensive rolling, and they just. I don't know. Our issue with the Big Ten is just run heavy, run stopping. We had the best defense, in my opinion, in college football last year. We had the best run defense in the Big Ten. It's just tough when they're on the field the whole damn game because we can't score any points. Um, but I think that just need to scheme the wide receivers open. I have some notes for it just because obviously Penn State guy. Um, Saw the other day the forecast is 88 and rainy for Morgantown, which
Big Ten football weather.
is Big Ten football weather, but I feel like it doesn't give them a prayer if the game is all on the ground. I mean, we lost some guys in the secondary. We have some guys who are trying to come out and perform a little bit better this year. Our receivers and our quarterback are kind of the question mark going in. So if we're just running the ball to open the season, I think that that's an incredible position for us to be in. Now, as far as covering, I agree. I've heard things that old old Franklin wants to please some of the boosters and everything, so he actually you know goes for the cover. So I don't know. I think we beat the shit out of them if both teams have to rely on the ground game in wet conditions, just with the guys up front because they're not recruiting nearly close to what we got. Um, Also, kind of unrelated to the game specifically, Sean Clifford cut, Trace McSorley cut, but Cliff is back to
It's
the defense.
Black Monday for the
Scout team.
Penn State
So
football program.
yeah, But it is what it is. That's what we go with.
That's
So
right.
Mag, if Penn State is a favorite more often than not, and they are the kings of covering spreads under James Franklin, then they probably are like one of the best teams in the country, probably, right?
I mean, take out two programs. They're essentially four-time national champions. They're the champions of life.
Which two programs would those be?
It'd be the Ohio State, and I don't want to mention the other school due to their allegations levied against them last year under James Harbaugh, the milk drinker, if you will.
I definitely have Penn State hubris, but I'm realistic. I think you'd have to probably take out 6 teams for us to be every
SEC,
year
That's
national
what
champions. But
SEC
I mean,
doesn't,
Big Ten, yeah, Big Ten champ.
but
SEC doesn't know
I
ball.
don't like. There are people that are outside of the Big Ten, and even like with the addition of USC and Oregon, who are saying that we're essentially just now kind of reduced to like Wisconsin status within the Big Ten. Like like what Wisconsin was is like we can kind of be a powerhouse that's not really going to win the conference a couple years here and there, but then outside of that, we're going to be like middle upper tier of the Big Ten. But
Wisconsin at least makes it to the Big Ten championship game.
well, yeah, because it was the West.
I
The
just think
West is such a joke.
NIL now puts
Reality, they're in the game.
it puts everyone on such a much more equal playing field now because you could be a 5-star and be the fifth highest paid guy at Ohio State, or you can be the first highest paid guy at a Penn State, a Wisconsin, any of these mid-tier teams. And once the talent gets to a certain point, it's just a matter of a few big plays, and obviously those haven't gone Penn State's way the last couple of years. But I don't think this year, anything special is going to happen. But I think this week in Morgantown, going against the Mountaineers, I'm not terribly worried about that, and I think 8 points is more than feasible for them.
Well, we backdoor covered last year with our second team in. We had Bo Pribula going down the field, and I think he
Yeah,
converted like a third and long to set us up for a score. And he ran the ball maybe 8 consecutive plays, if that could be even low, to
yeah,
cover. And it was a larger spread, if I'm not mistaken, from last year. And we're
yeah. It
only
was
going to
double
be.
digits last year.
I mean, we have a lot of new things like new OC, new DC, but Drew Aller getting his feet under him a little bit, especially if you're relying on the run game. Like I said, kind of give him a year or a game to get a little bit more confident. I don't, and every time we can move on to Lewis's pick, but my point, I love the point is we go into this game and everybody's saying this is upset alert. Penn State ranked 8 playing against West Virginia. West Virginia is no joke. Like they won, what was it? Maybe they won 8 or 9 games last year. I don't forget what it was, but they're acting like they're this serious potential threat. And then as soon as we beat them, and we have to like they ask us to point to significant wins, in week 7, 8, 9, and we even if you mention West Virginia, you're like laughed off out of the conversation.
Yeah,
So it switches.
I'm trying to think back under James Franklin. I feel like the unranked upsets have been pretty few and far between. I think that Illinois game a couple years ago, if you want to count the COVID season, that Indiana game with Michael Penix
Gone.
Jr.
Jorkin my Penix.
And then other than that, like I don't maybe that Michigan State game 20. I think they were ranked 19th though. Like it's unranked teams don't phase me. I think as a bettor, you should absolutely be all over that number, and I think there's a lot of money to be made week one in college football. I have a theory that these betting apps kind of try to draw you in a little bit with some bad lines because you see that positive number hit in your bank account week one and you think, huh, maybe I can do it week two. So I think these lines aren't super sharp yet. I think there's money to be made. You just got to know where to look.
Yeah.
Everybody always starts on a hot streak.
Yeah.
My best betting season of my life was the first one.
Yep.
Exactly. Yeah. You
That
just
was the second one. And now they got me by a fucking rope, and I just
I think I was net positive in my first year, and now, or no, I was net positive until 2 years ago.
until you realize you learn what a parlay is.
yeah.
Yep.
Now you're on the second mortgage.
Yep.
I can't. Yeah, as a pick, I can't. I can't pick West Virginia. Drew Aller plus 3,000 to win the Heisman. That was my sneaky. That was my
I
sneaky.
already did that. I did it last year, and I'm like, nah. it's
I'll
tough.
take that. I'll cash that bet. If anyone wants to place that bet, you can just place that right with me. I'll take that one for you.
He's riding hard.
Yep.
Um, okay, yeah, my lock. Um, I'm also going in college football. I'm going with a team to make the playoff. I've got a little bit of a weird number, plus 194. I got that 2 days ago. I feel like this team has been hot getting mentioned the last like 2 days or so. So I don't know if that number's changed, but I have Utah to make the playoff. Um, guaranteed playoff spot and first round bye for uh, presumably the Big Four conference winners. It's the four highest ranked conference winners, but presumably the Big Four conference winners. Um, Kyle Whittingham, obviously a little bit of a down year with the Cam Rising injury last year, but I've got numbers last year's. If you take out last year, two Rose Bowl appearances, not wins, didn't win either one, but two Rose Bowl appearances.
Who do they play in the one? The most recent one?
I don't know. I forget. I was looking this up pretty late last night. But last
Nittany
what is
Lions.
this, 5 years? So last year 8-5, obviously the Cam Rising injury. 10-4, 10-4, 3-2 in the COVID year, 11-3. All ended in bowl game losses, but it's the level of consistency. You know, the Pac-12 hasn't been great, but it's comparable to what the Big 12 is right now, I think. And he has a level of consistency. They get up for every single week. And Cam Rising, off the injury, he doesn't even need to be his best. He's like a veteran who can lead an offense. It's a really tough place to play. They take care of business week in and week out, and I think they play in the Big 12 championship game. I know like the Big Ten and did I say Big Ten or Big 12 championship game? I don't know,
Big
but
12.
Big 12, yeah. And the Big Ten and the SEC are loaded. Obviously, there's 12 playoff spots. I feel like everybody assumes that they're going to get like 8 of them, but I mean, every conference always there's a team or two that plays themselves into just like if you're the best of like any group of like 10 to 15 Power Five conference programs, like you're going to be in that discussion of being a top 15 team. So I think they just have to get to the Big 12 championship game. I like them and K State both. I was actually deciding between the two of them to be
They avoid
my main.
K State too regular season.
Yeah. So
Yep.
I mean, I really love this. I like Utah as a like Utah's a team that like you don't know anybody other than maybe the quarterback. It's like their coach is really the identity, like a Mike Leach type, like Washington State. Like you just know what type of team Utah is always going to be because of Kyle Whittingham.
Yeah. And I mean, I pulled up their their schedule for this season, and it's
Oh,
kind
I
of
have
hard
that.
to it's kind of hard to point at a confident loss like with what they're returning. And I mean, we got
Yeah,
lucky when we played them in the Rose Bowl. I think I don't want to say lucky. Cam Rising getting hurt would have won the game if he was in there either way. But anyway, it's like he's the college Gardner Minshew. Just like I feel like people love him, and like you said, he's a team leader. I mean, they got OK State on here, um,
Yeah,
yeah.
they
These
Arizona
are
said
some
friends,
real quick.
TCU, but
Southern Utah at home, that's a win. Baylor at home, that's a win. Utah State on the road, that's a win. At Oklahoma State, let's just be conservative and give. Well, here at Oklahoma State, and then next week home against Arizona. We'll
homecoming,
conservatively say
homecoming
they go
against
one.
Arizona. They have it noted on the schedule here. Can't lose on
Here we go.
homecoming.
So let's just say they go 1-1 in those. Okay, they're 4-1. Beat at Arizona State, that's a win, 5-1. Hosting TCU, that's a win, 6-1. At Houston, Houston can be frisky sometimes, but probably a win. Home against BYU, that's a win. At Colorado, that's a fucking win.
yeah,
Uh, home against Iowa State, that's a win. At UCF, like maybe one of those last five, they drop, and they're
yeah.
what 11-2 going into the Big 12 championship.
And considering we haven't heard anything about Houston yet, anytime a school like that is showing any inkling of being okay, it's all over the place. And people love talking about Houston, whether it's this or basketball. So I feel like really, yeah, the unranked games, Colorado's trashed. They might lose tonight. um,
Yeah, right here.
and so like UCF again, like they're kind of lost buzz. It's almost like it's like when you raise your hand and you answer a question in class and you realize maybe you're incorrect and you just hope no one acknowledged that you even said anything. Like when them just claiming that they're so good fucking year after year. Um, but like realistically, on average, throughout the last however many years, they're number three. I guess Florida's been pretty bad, but um, yeah, I like Utah a lot. I do feel like it is obviously it's your lock, so I do feel like they're kind of a popular one to make a little bit of a stir. So, I mean, when you
Yep.
return a quarterback that's been playing in for however many years,
Yeah,
and you know, that's a
he
big
might
help.
be open.
Yeah, he might be. He looks like it. There, I mean, this is kind of different, but I just saw that Will Greer, who's kind of another one of these guys, like long hair, gritty mustache, Gardner Minshew types, who also went to West Virginia. He just got signed to somebody's practice squad, so I guess he's already kind of on the way out too. But no,
Yeah,
I like that one.
I think the Big 12 is definitely winnable for Utah. I think the issue with the Big 12, I think the Big 12 is the most even conference, top
Yeah,
to
it's gonna be
bottom.
muddy, gross.
I think the winner of that conference goes into the playoffs with three losses maybe and gets bulldozed probably by an SEC or Big Ten team. But you know, in terms of the rest of the pack, I think I really like Utah. I think the only team I would be concerned about. I'm not buying in on K State. I just think they lost that. Well, so their coach seemed more than happy to let what's his name, Will Howard, the kid that transferred to Ohio State, seemed more than happy to let him walk. But losing your starting quarterback doesn't seem that doesn't bode well for me. Um, and then the other team on there is Oklahoma State. Dark skies over there in Stillwater. They still have Ollie Gordon, right?
Yeah, no punishment.
Yep. So I mean,
I think
I think
Kansas.
the punishment is he's gonna run him harder.
that's good. That's
Yeah,
right. I like it. I
Physical
like
I
it.
punishment.
think I think
Yeah, I
Kansas
mean,
has
I
a
think
shot.
Oklahoma State is a team that could challenge them for sure in there, and I think there's just there is a potential for a trip up there, and that would be the only reason why I'd be a little concerned about it. But overall, I think it's a great pick.
I think Kansas has a like an outside shot. I mean, I guess they lost OC and everything
No,
too, but and they're you don't
due to
recognize
work.
Kansas.
Due to
They beat
work.
yeah. I mean, other than their like candy ass uniforms with that red and blue, like red and blue is a sick color combo, but it's just I don't know for some reason it doesn't do it for me. Their stuff, but
Yeah, they're a
I don't know.
basketball school. They need to wear basketball jerseys. That's
Yeah,
Exactly. You should wear basketball jerseys over your pads if you are a basketball
yeah.
school.
yeah. Well,
UConn,
I
like
think yeah, I think
North Carolina.
I might have the most boring lock pick here, and also switching up to the NFL. Um, it's just like right in front of me, so I had to do it. Plus 105, or at least I think this might have been one of the picks that I looked at on my local betting app, Hard Rock Gambling, which is pretty terrible. So I'm going to be switching up to be in unison with you guys doing FanDuel DraftKings lines, just looking at it. But Texans AFC South winner, nice and easy. Don't have to think too much about it.
That
Uh,
is nice.
it's nice and easy, and like it's a
Who are you
fun
the
one.
most?
Huh?
Who are you the most scared of? Really?
That's the
The
thing. Is like
Colts.
nobody.
Anthony
If
Richardson.
Andrew pops off, the Colts maybe, but
Yeah,
still
I mean
probably.
that's the only thing I can think of, but I'm not gonna trade away a future pick in Dynasty for that. But no matter
Yeah.
how much your friend wants me to, but it I like it. He's a fun quarterback to watch, Anthony Richardson. He's exciting and he seems like a good dude, and like that's usually the guy that you want to back, and it's really easy to root for. But he's kind of the same thing with Tua, and like being a Dolphins fan is it's hard to feel fully confident going into any season having an injury prone quarterback and like expecting them to come out and do well, especially with his skill set as he likes to be mobile and move around and everything. Like it's hard for me to think that longevity wise they're gonna be great and like he might even I feel like it's a toss up. Like what would you set the odds at that he actually finishes the season? He got hurt three separate times last year.
I mean,
What is
So
finishing the season? How many games? I'd set his over under
17.
at
14 and a
So
half.
you're saying every single game? I think it's very low likelihood.
Yeah.
I would say
Yeah.
his over under games played at like 11.
And I feel like if you miss out on 6 games with the Texans being being good and then beating the shit out of everybody else in their division, if he like maybe they drop one or two to somebody when he's hurt, like you know what I mean? Like who else is gonna get in there? And CJ Stroud, as much as I hate to root for an Ohio State guy, it's like he's a fun dude to watch. Their receiving core is awesome. I would love to see Damian Pierce pick it up a little bit more in the backfield, just for selfish reasons.
Joe
But
Flacco's the backup.
Joe Flacco's the backup. Do you happen to have his contract up when you looked at that?
No, I don't know if it's on
I don't
ESPN.
think
I mean, it's got to be what, a minimum?
Well, I mean,
yeah.
how do you
Well,
retire? I didn't even know
I
he was.
was I think the Titans are gonna be like a 9-8, 8-9.
I think the Titans are so gross.
Yeah,
That's what I'm saying. I think they're gonna be hovering around or below 500 for
I don't even.
like the
I don't
distant
think they're getting
future.
there.
You don't think so?
I think they might suck.
Yeah, I think
Really?
they're. I think they're tanking. I think this year is a. If by week 5 Will Levis doesn't show that he's the guy, I think they're tanking it out and throwing up the ice for Shador or whatever the hell the. No, is Shador? Yeah, Shador is the QB.
I can't wait for someone to make that mistake.
Yeah. The no, I like that pick, Eric, and I kind of like the idea of parlaying um a pick like these obvious division winners here, like like who's really going to challenge the Texans, who's really going to challenge the Chiefs in the AFC West, who's really going to challenge the Niners in the NFC West. I think it's really easy to get. I don't know what the exact parlay would get you, but I'd imagine it'd be around
Yeah.
plus 300, right? Like I
Yeah.
feel like there would have to be something like a catastrophic injury happening to any of those 3 teams to not win their division. I think that, you can take a look at all 3 of those, but I like the lock of the AFC South as well and getting into plus odds.
Yeah. It feels boring, but that's not what the lock pick is for. So
There you go.
that's why I went there.
Mags, are you going to spice it up a little more on us here?
I am. I got a banger here. This is what our long shot pick or
Hey,
underdog, whatever.
Underdog, decent dog.
there's
So
not really a name for the middle one, so
Oh, he's the middle of the pack.
I'm sticking to the NFL here. I like this. This is technically a long shot pick. We're at plus 500 odds here, but I like this pick so much I would venture it into lock territory. And that is Kirk Cousins to be comeback player of the year, plus 500.
I forgot to
Oh,
look at comeback player of the year odds.
Oh,
Is he
so
like the favorite?
no, he is not the favorite. The 2 favorites ahead of him
Brees
are
Hall.
40-year-old Aaron Rodgers, soon to be 41 years old Aaron Rodgers, playing on the MetLife turf. And then Joe Burrow, who is not allowed to throw a pass more than 3 days in a row, playing in the AFC North. Kirk Cousins has a pretty electric cast around him here. I have their depth chart. Bijan Robinson, who is a top 10 alleged fantasy pick this year. Drake London, who I think had a down year last year, but I mean, fucking Desmond Ritter was thrown to him. Yep. And then Kyle Pitts, the Schrodinger's tight end, who I think, I mean, he still did he put up 1,000 yards last year?
I don't know. He is Schrodinger's type. He does not exist to me.
Yeah,
He's like, I'll talk about him all off season. During the season, I can't give a fuck about what he's doing.
he put up, he is younger than 3 first-round picks in this year's draft. Kyle Pitts, who's been in the league now for what, 2 years, is younger than 3 picks in this year's draft. So I think there's still growth potential there. I'm a little worried about the ACL action, but like these guys are comeback players for a reason, so I feel really good about that. And I got the strength of schedule pulled up. The Atlanta Falcons have the easiest strength of schedule in the NFL this year. So I think that there's a chance for Cousins to put up pretty good numbers. I don't see Michael Penis, challenging him for that starting job at all. I mean, they gave him what, 4 years, 180 million or something to be their starting quarterback.
Like 2 years and get cut, or 2 years and get traded.
Yeah, I think that he is going to get full reign here, and I think that playing in a weak division in the NFC South, like there's a lot of numbers to be put up here, and I think at plus 500, I was shocked when I saw he wasn't comeback player. I think that the New York betting market might have skewed Rodgers to be the favorite here, but yeah, I really like that pick.
This kind of sparked conversation the other night actually, and it's kind of weird to say, but I'm like really on board with Kirk Cousins. I know that he's kind of old and almost like a sneaky league slut, almost. Um, he's like the slut who hangs around for a couple years, but is homie hopping a little bit. But I think I'd rather have him. Like if your quarterback dies, I'd rather have him for this upcoming season than Trevor Lawrence.
Why do they have to die?
Just because otherwise I'd be like, why would
Like
I want?
their
For
leg.
me, I'd be like, why would I want him over Tua? Which maybe, but I'm saying like, if you could have T Law or Kirk for just this next season, like I understand
Regular
the
season?
youth thing, huh?
Regular season only?
No, just the whole season.
I think Kirk Cousins, the issue with him lies in the postseason. I think he's a game manager, and I think that people use that as a dirty word. But I mean, we had Tom Brady who just retired, who was he was a game manager in every sense of the word, but he made clutch throws obviously, but
Wait,
he
you
wasn't
saying
running the
game?
ball in. Like Brock Purdy just went to a Super Bowl as a game manager. Game managers are not a bad thing to have. He's smart. He gets to the line. He fucking makes audibles. Like he's going to get you probably like two touchdowns and no turnovers, and like sometimes that's all you need. And the Falcons just beefed up that defense as well. Like I think the
Yeah,
Falcons, especially if they can make a run and win the NFC South. I don't know what their odds are to win that division, but I'm assuming the Bucks would probably still be the favorites there. But I mean, he gets two
They're
games a
the
year.
favorites.
What's that?
Falcons are the favorites.
Falcons are the favorites. So, I mean, they get two games
They're
against.
odds-on favorites.
They get two games against the Saints. Like I think that there's a chance for him to put up some really good numbers there.
yeah. No, I like that
My
pick. I
my
mean,
long shot. My long shot is actually Falcons related, so I'm not doing anything
I
more
like
yeah,
it.
with this
okay.
one.
I like
But
it. Well, after
Yeah,
you.
um, my middle one though, if we could pivot here. So this one is plus 330. So this is I feel like we're right in that sweet spot there. I have Jaden Daniels most rookie rushing yards.
cool.
Um, Jonathan Brooks on the pup to start the year. I feel like he's your only real competition in this is Jonathan Brooks, Blake Horn. And if Blake Horn's going to be, I think he is probably on the short end of a 75-25 split in LA. Although if Kyron Williams is returning punts, maybe it's closer to 50-50. I don't know. But yeah, I think Jonathan Brooks to start on the pup. I don't think that the Panthers are going to be good enough at all to really have a super balanced offense. They're not going to run the ball a ton. I think they're going to be
Yeah,
throwing the ball probably like 65% of the time. So I think Jane Daniels, if he stays healthy, if the Commanders improve and they can keep the offense on the field a little bit more, um, yeah, I mean he's like the most weaponizable player, rookie
yeah.
player. I think
I
he is a
wonder. I wonder if they're gonna look at the college tape and just see all the hits he took and realize that he's an investment and kind of beat it into him to only get the necessary yards and get down or like throw the ball away more though. That's like that would be my only concern. But again, I think that you have a good point of his potential competition is also held back by other things, limiting factors. But I think like for me, I'd be like, oh man, like I mean, you still got Caleb Williams in Chicago, who I mean, he was running around in the preseason and doing whatever. He feels more like I mean, he's obviously faster, more apt to do it, but like he feels like he'll run kind of like Big Ben ran, is like sneaky, get like 7 yards a couple times a drive. You know what I mean?
he's
So
a Mahomesy kind of scrambler.
yeah, yeah, Mahomesy scrambler, I like it. I mean, yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
that was his pro comparison.
I'm looking at the Commanders roster here. I mean, so they have Terry McLaurin, and then
They got rid of Dotson.
they got rid of Dotson. They have Luke McCaffrey as their number two wide receiver. Or sorry, no, I can't pronounce this name.
Is that true?
Olamide Zacchaeus.
Olamide Zacchaeus.
Yep,
Zacchaeus.
that's what I said. And then, does anyone know who their tight end is? Anyone want
It's
to guess who their tight end is?
not
It's not
Logan Thomas.
Thomas anymore.
Nope. He is Zach Ertz is their tight end.
Oh fuck, I forgot about that. Yeah.
I did.
So, and then obviously Brian Robinson Jr. And this might put a little bit of a pin in your balloon here. Austin Eckler is the backup running back there, so I feel like could be some. I think the
He's
money.
stuck in the mud.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that the value is there for Daniels because who the fuck is he gonna throw to? Like, you know,
Right. He's gonna drop back. Oh fuck, no one's open.
yeah.
No.
I'm gonna.
I mean, RG3
Yeah.
did it for a whole year and then, blew out every tendon in his leg or whatever. But
I think they
for the
got
purposes of this
PTSD.
bet, that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Yeah. There you go. All right, Eric.
All right. So I mean, Mag's already poo-pooed it a little bit in his earlier pick, but
Hell yeah.
I really I like, and I think it's to make myself feel better about the Will Howard transfer, but I like K-State to make the college football playoff this year.
Wow. What the fuck?
Yeah, I like K-State. I don't know,
Where did you
like
get that idea from?
they're that's
What are they plus 200 something?
they're plus 270.
Yeah.
Um, I like them just. I mean, that whole conference is crazy this year, and like just bringing in some of the Pac-12 teams that I don't think are really going to make much of a difference. And I mean, last year they were 6-3 in the conference. I mean 9-4 overall, but like with this new setup, things could get open. I mean, they have Avery Johnson, which is the reason that Will Howard is transferred. He
Yeah.
lost his job, and all of a sudden, Ohio State thinks that they have this absolute stud of a transfer. He came from the Northeast. I think he's a Pennsylvania kid, maybe something like that. Will Howard, and no one wanted him. Down to K State, back up to Ohio State because he didn't. He lost his job to Avery Johnson, who's more of an exciting player to watch, running the football. Now they do have to see like passing it around how that's going to end up working, but it also again it's the Big 12. It's like shit defenses and like high powered volatile offense. So I like them in it. West Virginia is going to start out with one loss. So as far as them above them in the conference last year, at least even keel with them. We got all these other things going on, but I like them to make it there. Might even find themselves winning the conference.
Is this year the first time K State and Kansas would be a ranked matchup?
Was it last year?
Ever.
Was it? I like it's
Was
just
Kansas State ranked when they played? Because I think
it's
Kansas.
insane just seeing Kansas be a preseason ranked team.
They were 18-23 when they played last year, and K State won.
Okay, so
Yeah,
that's the answer to my question right there.
yeah.
The
Yeah.
Do you want to guess what the cheapest ticket is for that game, Kansas State? I have it on the ESPN schedule. They have the tickets as low as blank. Does anyone want to guess what the cheapest ticket is to watch Kansas
Twelve
State?
dollars.
$12.
All right, I like to do this thing where I definitely lose prices right. So what, like 250 is the minimum?
$230
Oh,
is the
I actually
cheapest ticket to watch Kansas State. There is a Kansas isn't the brightest state. They might think that's a basketball game. So
that's true.
there is
Well, what
there
else are
is
they
a
going to do?
chance. There is a
What else
chance.
do they have to do there?
Uh, Eat shitty
That
barbecue. I mean,
well, things can't be expensive, so they probably have all this saved up money from just eating like $8 barbecue and
their
going to the little
baseball team
baseball.
won't be in the World Series at that point, so they won't have to worry about watching that.
Yeah.
So
But I
yeah,
mean, I like so their schedule this year. I mean, they have their Big 12 opponents, but I mean, opening with UT Martin, they got Tulane, Arizona, who, if we think, I mean, Utah, I think is probably a little bit better than K State, but potentially. But they play Arizona. They do have OK State as well, BYU, West Virginia, Colorado. And I think anybody that is like a name that you recognize immediately from a Power Five conference in the past, if I see Colorado on their schedule, I'm automatically giving them a win because I don't like dislike Deion Sanders, and I kind of liked him when he was doing his whole barstool thing. But I feel like you can't fire back at recruits and things on Twitter and I don't
yeah.
know, running mouth like that. I think that's weird. Um, but yeah, I mean they play Can. I feel like they have a slightly tougher schedule than Utah did, but I think that if they come out of that without absolute disasters, then I think it makes them one of the better teams in the conference and could sneak their way in there. Now, if they get lower half of the conference of the playoff, then they might get the brakes beat off of them in that first round. But who knows?
Yeah, I like them for all the same reasons as I like Utah, as
I
far
think
as the Big 12 on the whole is concerned.
I think we
And
Yeah,
should
I'm
have a little bet going here for between
that's
Eric and
so.
Lewis here.
Yeah. Well,
How
that's
about a
literally what this is.
yeah? I mean, do we want to put like a 3D soup on the line? You have to eat a bowl of soup in the shower, clothed. Do you want to put a 3D soup on the line here?
3D soup. I haven't
Yeah.
sure.
Get wet while you're eating soup. Get all up in your shit. There you go. Yeah, shake on that.
3D soup bet.
So
is
both
it who wins the Big 12 or who finishes better? Because what if neither of them win?
if neither of them
Oh,
win, I think the bet should be void. But I think if one of them wins the Big 12, I feel like the loser should be 3D soup.
All
okay.
right,
3D soup.
all
3D
right,
soup it
Yep.
is.
And the
all
winner
right.
can choose the type of soup.
Ugh,
Ooh,
Yep.
that's fucked up.
Yep.
has to be an actual soup.
Yeah, it
Because
has
I
to,
don't like.
like
Yeah.
Campbell, you have to buy it off the shelf. Campbell's has to sell it, or
Yeah.
Progresso if you need to wash your waistline, whatever.
See, this is where it sucks to be pretty a very picky eater. Is you could do anything that deviates from chicken noodle is like I'm gonna be immediately
Dude, it's
apprehensive to
soup.
have to do
Tastes
that.
like salt. They all taste like salt.
What, chicken noodles?
No, just soup in general. I feel like how I feel like there's a reason they serve it to you in a hospital. Like it's the
I
most generic food ever.
I don't like. I mean, outside of cereal because it's just sugar and milk and it's
Cereal
cold
is
and
soup.
you eat it as
Yeah,
a
cereal's a
kid.
soup.
Cereal's a soup, but like hot foods, it's a texture thing. Hot foods, I feel like when I'm eating soup, sometimes I'm getting like Trojan horsed. It's like you get a spoonful of broth, and then there's all this other shit that's coming into your mouth at the same time, and I feel I just don't like it.
I think a
So
therapist would have a really good time with you, brother.
that's why Gushers taste good, but I also was like kind of skeeved out about Gushers as a kid. Like I didn't love the texture switch
Yeah,
up.
I can get down with that. I didn't like the squirting aspect of that in my
Yeah,
mouth. Yeah.
yeah,
That was just when you were a kid, though. Now you like it.
yeah.
Yeah,
If
I'm
you could
about
figure out how to make it work again.
yeah, like
Yeah.
13 I got really into it. Yeah. Yeah.
All
That's
right, Mags. What is your long shot?
my long shot is a long shot plus 950. I
Okay.
think our buddy Eric over here is gonna like this bet. It
Yeah.
is Tua Tagovailoa, however we
I need
pronounce
to
it.
start making bets and names that you can fucking pronounce.
Tua Tua T Tua T Toot to lead the league in passing yards plus 950.
Nice. I
Yep.
like it.
So he's the third favorite to win that award. He's behind CJ Stroud and Patrick Mahomes. So I think the big thing that I'm looking at when it came to this bet was that he's throwing to the best wide receiver in football right now. There's a chance Tyreek Hill, breaks 2,000 yards this year. The dude's unbelievable, right? So I and throw in Jalen Waddle as well. Who's the tight end now? Some
We
fan
kind of
he
we
is.
flipped through. We have what's his name? Njoku. We also like flipped through a bunch of white dudes that look exactly the same. Like
Yeah.
we had Smythe for a while, who's actually like kind of solid. We just didn't actually use him because we didn't have to. And we have like our three receiver is the question mark. I mean, Odell's already on the pup list and being like weird about it. It's undisclosed. I wasn't able to see what his injury actually is. What'd you say?
I bet he doesn't think it's that.
Dude,
Yeah.
he is a fucking loser. I don't know why I think it was like 3 million.
I
It's
mean,
like
we
there
don't
are
need
other
him
guys.
anyways for this bet.
Yeah, we don't need him. And like
Yeah, we don't need him. I
we
think that
throw
Tua.
River Craycraft out there.
I just feel like every time Red Zone flips over to the Dolphins, I see Tua in his goofy little left hand throw, chucking it 30 yards downfield, and there's Tyreek running around. His 12 baby mamas cheering him on in the stands. Like, I just feel like there is a very real chance for the money that is there plus 950 for Tua to slide in on this award. I think that Patrick Mahomes is the favorite. Or no, Stroud is the favorite. Patrick Mahomes is the number two. I would be a little nervous about Mahomes just because there's a chance that, he doesn't play week 17. There's a chance he just ends up sitting, right? And I feel like the Chiefs are a team that is playing for the playoffs at this point. They want to go for that three-peat. And I think that if they can lock it down early, especially with the shitty division, they might just, shut Mahomes down, and we'll see whoever the backup is these days there.
Yeah,
CJ Stroud does make me nervous. I think a lot of weapons, but I think I'm going to kind of bank on a sophomore slump for him a little bit there. I still think they're going to be a really good team, but I think that he's not going to be going as crazy with the passing just because, defensive coordinators have gotten a full year to scheme against him now, and that they kind of, they can tune things up a little bit. I think Stroud is a really talented player, and it would be a super close competition between Stroud and Tua, but I think for the plus 950 money there, combined with all the other reasons I gave, I would take Tua in that bet.
yeah. I mean, I
Yeah,
like
Mike
it.
McDaniel. Good.
You go first.
I was gonna say Mike McDaniel is a big like get your guys their numbers
Yeah.
coach.
Yeah, yeah. Like he'd be a good college coach that's trying to get a guy a Heisman. I also fucked up. It's Johnny Smith. Um, I think he brings. I mean, he's
Ew.
yeah, but he brings a better option than like. I mean, you've never heard of the receiver or the tight ends that we've had in the past like 5 6 years. Mike Gesicki was there, who was never really a tight end anyway. He can't block for shit. Kind of goofy running, but he's an athlete, so like we liked having him. We were having the beginnings of our improved offense, but I think also to your point of him with CJ Stroud, like you said, like people have a year to scheme against him, and I think what our offense runs is a little bit more repeatable, just like the kind of weapons that we do have. Obviously, Houston has a bunch of weapons, but we have Tyreek Hill, might be the best player in football,
Mm. I
and
mean, he was voted number one
a
player
lot
in
of
football. So,
yeah, I guess yeah, he was. That's all just to get people pissed in the comments because I forget what some of them were like. Didn't have just egregious people outside of the top 50, but yeah. Although I do know that you're picking that more so for our offensive scheme and the weapons than to his actual
Yeah.
abilities.
yeah.
Which I mean, I'm realistic. I agree with that. I don't really think.
I'm
Well,
gonna rip
I'd
my
take
long.
Kirk Cousins.
I'm gonna rip my long shot. Like I said, similar to Mags, Falcons related. I'm going plus 1600. Bijan Robinson, Offensive Player of the Year. Um, New head coach, obviously Raheem Mostert, or not Raheem Mostert, Raheem Morris, coming
Heavy.
over from the Rams. I also didn't know though that Zach Robinson, their new OC, he's also coming over from the Rams. So both guys worked on the same franchise. That's I feel like pretty interesting. But anyway, um, defensive minded head coach probably going to want to like pound the rock, run the ball. I feel like Kirk Cousins is a perfect guy to achieve this for Bijan too, because if you got a defensive minded coach who really just wants to ask his quarterback like, hey, like convert a couple third downs, maybe throw the ball deep a couple times this game, like maybe we're passing the ball 20 times, and you're really relying on your run game. I I like Bijan's chances of getting some run in the passing game, as well as them trying to. I mean, they have Algier as well, right? But I really think that like even last year when people were like Bijan's not getting used enough, Algier still like was definitely in his shadow. So I
Yep.
definitely think it's his backfield. I think that new coaches trying to prove themselves. They have a shiny new toy. I think they're going to want to use the shit out of Bijan. I think he has 2,000 all-purpose yards. I'm thinking like close to 20 touchdowns, and I have him in dynasty. So
And
this isn't
Did
second
they?
best offensive line for 24.
yeah. And the
Right.
the the South sucks. Like he gets to play such shitty teams all the time. They're going to be winning games. He's going to be run. Well, they might not be winning games, but they'll be in close games where you can stick to the game plan, run the ball, little swing passes and stuff. So Bijan is my guy.
Did this award change in the last couple of years? Is it only can quarterbacks not win it, or is it just like an unspoken thing now that quarterbacks can't win it? Because I'm looking at the odds right now, and it's all wide receivers, running backs up and down the board. And I would have assumed a Patrick Mahomes or something would be slipped in there. Am I wrong in thinking
I
that?
feel like wasn't there a year that and it might have been like more of a running kind of quarterback, but I feel like there was a year that a quarterback won Offensive Player of the Year and did
The
not win MVP.
the last the last quarterback to win offensive MVP was Patrick Mahomes in 2018, and then it looks like before that it was Todd Gurley and then Matt Ryan, Cam Newton, Peyton Manning, Drew Brees, Tom Brady. So I think that because I feel like that it might be in response to the MVP award kind of shifting to just be a quarterback award. It might be like, hey, this is going to be the award for because I mean the quarterback is the most valuable player on the field for a winning
Yeah,
team, so it makes sense. But yeah, so I
yeah,
just wanted to ask
It
that.
honestly might be, or that might just be Vegas understanding kind of the concept of what we just said. Of
Yeah, yeah, but
they're not if a quarterback wins MVP and they don't want to give him Offensive Player of the Year, you're not just going to give it to another quarterback because the quarterback who won MVP only fucking plays offense and
yeah,
he's the most valuable player. So
yeah.
how would he not be the Offensive Player of the Year?
yeah,
But no, I think that's probably more likely what it is. It's like kind of the opposite of the Heisman. It's like that. I forget what one of the other most outstanding college football player of the year award that they give
yeah.
out and act like it's just not the consolation Heisman. But I like that one. I have my long shot is the longest shot apparently. And I think Lewis might be a little bit more on board with me with this one. I'm bringing it back from the dead. I It's a long shot for a reason, and I'm going Matt Stafford MVP.
I love
Again,
that.
huh?
The most underrated player in the league, apparently.
I Hey, he's up there. I mean, clearly like the obvious choice, like Patrick Mahomes, C.J. Stroud, like Josh Allen's up there, who I think is gonna be distracted this year. He's public with Haley Steinfeld now, and he's
Yeah.
rated the best TikToker in the league. It's gonna put a target on his back, and he's gonna be distracted with Haley. I think it could be a perfect storm for the AFC East. Um, And Matt Stafford just with, I mean, if Cooper Cup's healthy all season and he's got Puka Nakua and just like kind of getting that offense turning again,
Got Kyron
like
Williams
I
up,
think he's a sneaky, huh?
Kyron Williams and Blake Corum out of
Yeah,
the backfield.
yeah. I think he's a sneaky pick. Like, I mean, obviously he's gonna be bogged down by the 49ers and their defense, but like the West isn't crazy. Like I don't think they're not gonna win the division, but they're like a steady. I think Matt Stafford's one of the better quarterbacks that we've seen like in our whole watching football era, but he never gets the credit. And I think people are starting to come around with it. And I mean, obviously the Calvin Johnson years were incredible, but I still feel like you think of it as like the Calvin Johnson years. Like when that was happening, the version of me that was watching football didn't even like register who the quarterback was, probably. So like, I don't know.
Yeah, I bet him to win MVP. His first year with the Rams, when
We
they won
did.
the Super
We wrote
Bowl,
it
I bet them
together.
to win the Super Bowl and to win the MVP. So is he? Who's the oldest person to ever win MVP? Is it like Aaron Rodgers?
Yeah, I think Rock because he won it. He's gonna be 40 this year, and what that was 3 years ago. 30. Did Brady win one like late?
Tom Brady.
Brady
Yeah.
was.
40.
All right.
Yeah.
Fuck that.
Who do you think? So the top three oldest players to win the MVP are Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers twice. Who's four?
Is it an older dude?
He's no longer active, but he's very much so part of our football watching history.
Is it Matt Ryan? Was he
No,
old for his MVP?
I feel like he
Or
was kind
Peyton
of older,
Manning
but
maybe?
yeah, Peyton Manning.
Peyton Manning,
I
yeah.
was trying to say
I think
Purdy,
it
but
was-
Ryan.
Yeah. I so Lewis, you mentioned that parlay bet on Stafford to win MVP and or did you parlay them or you just bet them?
it wasn't a parlay. They were individual.
Okay. So FanDuel has pre-parlayed MVP winner and uh Super Bowl winner odds up. I don't know if you've taken a look at these odds, but they're like some of them are crazy high for like somewhat realistic sounding outcomes. The
What's like Mahomes with the Chiefs?
Yeah, like if you just bet, well, so you can they have you can mix and match any. You can do Lamar Jackson with the Chiefs winning, etc.
Oh,
Mahomes
okay.
to win MVP and the Chiefs to win the Super Bowl, which like very easily could happen, was something like plus 2,000 odds. Like they're giving crazy long.
Tough to win, tough to win a title.
What's that?
Tough to win a title.
Tough to win a title, obviously, but I feel like you can narrow down at least the top five teams who could realistically win a title this year and kind of play around a little bit. Like, you could have that Lamar Jackson conversation again in your head if you want. You can look at Josh Allen if you don't subscribe to the Haley Steinfeld theory. Like, I think that there's like a set of probably like five guys and five teams who you can realistically win those awards, and you can kind of, if you feel really strongly one way or the other, you can bet $10 and win $200, or you can bet $10 on a long, long shot. And I was looking at one, it was like I can win $1,300 on a $10 bet for like like the Bengals to win the Super Bowl, like stuff like that.
Sounds like easy money. You should just do
I mean, I
Yeah.
will. I mean, I will.
Well,
But yeah, I thought that was really interesting. I was kind of FanDuel has I don't like to do the prepackaged parlays too much because I think they set them up to lose a little bit. But that one kind of caught my eye a little bit when I was looking at the futures.
yeah. I guess we're cooking up a can't lose future. Just take all of our locks from this round, and then
Facts.
just that's
it.
like can't lose future, and we'll cook up some can't lose week by week. But um, my kind of like honorable mention type stuff for my middle tier dog. I initially thought it was like a great take, and then I actually researched it for 5 seconds, and I was initially going to say Vikings to make the playoffs,
Oh
because
boy.
McCarthy out for the season, but Darnold, like I'm still, it's kind of, I feel like Darnold's the new era Carson Wentz is like you're like, oh man, he was pretty good in college. Like he showed flashes in New York, I guess. And then the Vikings seem like an easy, like a I don't know. He's
I mean,
got some weapons out there, and they got Aaron Jones running the backfield. I actually really like Aaron Jones. I know he's had some issues with injuries and everything, but but then I looked, and I think sneaky. The NFC North is going to be the most is it going to be the most exciting conference this year or division this year?
I think it's
I
sounding.
think I think
What?
I'm I'm taking the NFC North
yeah.
and the East.
Well, that's the only thing that I took a step back on it for is because I feel like they're gonna get just beat up by their own conference because I mean people like the Lions going to the Super Bowl. Everybody likes the Lions going to the Super Bowl, right? Like I mean them and the 49ers are like really the teams out of the NFC that everybody it's like you barely make any money like having that take everybody likes it. But then the Packers and the Packers and the Bears would be fun. The Packers would be
Packers
good
are
because
the
Jordan
value.
Love's good. Huh?
The Packers are the value in that division, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, the Bears could now I might be influenced by some other content that I take in, but like the Bears could almost immediately be 5 games better.
Yeah,
What was their record in this? What were they? What, 7-10?
they were
Something
That's
like
all
like
like
that.
that.
they were supposed to be like the ninth pick, I think, in the draft this past year, but they obviously had
Right.
the first because of the trade. But
They're 7-10.
seven,
Vikings
yeah,
7-10. Packers 9-8. Lions 12-5. I still like. I mean, I know that they kind of went nuts last year. The Lions still don't make sense in my head that they're like a powerhouse because didn't they lose one or two games like embarrassingly bad, absolutely blown out, or was that like a couple years ago?
They bite a kneecap on the way back up.
yeah, that's
Yeah,
right.
yeah, yeah,
I
Bite a motherfucking kneecap. How much? He's not gonna
yeah.
keep
I
coming
mean,
I
that's just
think
something I was thinking
a
about.
lower tier. I'm looking at the NFC playoff odds over here. So right now, the Chicago Bears are the Vegas favorite to be the seventh seed at minus 105, and then you have the Bucks and the Seahawks at plus 160 and plus 180, and then the Saints at plus 198. I mean, I think gun to my head, I would take Baker Mayfield and the Bucks over the Bears right now. I think the Bears have a lot of talent, but that's a lot of rookie talent there. And I don't know. I just think that right now I'm like that second tier that is below the like Niners. I'd probably put the Eagles, the Cowboys, and the Lions up there in that first tier. And then that second tier when you kind of get into the Falcons, the Packers, the Rams, the Bears, I don't know who to trust there, and I would rather just stay away from that entirely than back one of them because I feel like there are blow up potentials on it with every one of those teams.
Yeah.
I really like the Packers there. I feel like the Packers are in their own tier between the two tiers that you brought up. I
In
feel like I like the 5 seed for them, maybe the 6. I think they could even win the North.
That's why interesting. And that's why I always feel like it's weird to go and bet some of those middle I mean lower tier teams in the NFC is like the Seahawks. I don't know if there was a single game last year that I looked at any of the lines, any of the bets that you could possibly make with the Seahawks and like felt like I actually like they're worthy of throwing in anything. Like they're a lot of the NFC teams in the bottom half are just impossible to bet. And then like the AFC is kind of the same way unless they're playing an NFC team that week.
The
Um
Seahawks are one of those teams that I don't usually follow because I'm napping during the 4 o'clock slate. So I'm never really, and I never like I got in on DK Metcalf a couple of years ago, and he burned me in fantasy. So he's a do not draft for me in fantasy, and like I have no reason to watch Seahawks games ever, but yet it feels like for these last 3 4 years they do nothing, and then I look up and they're like, oh, they're a game out of the wild card, right? Like it's
yeah,
just I don't want to put myself in a position to get burned by the Seahawks there and betting on one of these teams to catch them because I feel like the Seahawks too just somehow managed to play the shit. Like I feel like the Seahawks slip like the Cardinals on their schedule 6 times and no one notices because no one cares, and like I just feel like they keep racking up these wins here, and I don't want to be a victim of it. So I'm staying clear away from that lower tier NFC. I like I feel like I have a better understanding of what the AFC playoff picture is going to be than the NFC.
yeah.
If the Cardinals find a way to play 17 division games every year,
Oh yeah,
no one
unbelievable.
play 16
Yeah.
division games, and then randomly they'll play like an AFC South team in the 4:30 window,
Yeah,
and it'll be the greatest game of the weekend.
Did
yeah.
you did you see the gift that Caleb Williams bought for his
Yeah, the
offensive
ball
line?
sack.
Yeah,
Was it nail polish
he's
remover?
he's a fancy lad,
We're gonna
as
get
Matt says,
demonetized.
but you can't really see it. Essentially, it has. He says it's a heart, but traditionally,
The veins look like the veins
the
also on
veins
a
are
ball.
damn. The
What kind of
veins
fucking heart
veins
has
are pretty
veins? I
damning.
mean, a normal heart has veins, but
Yeah,
what's the
yeah,
heart with veins? Like,
yeah, yeah. I
oh,
It's
mean,
like if you took the veins off of it, the only thing that could make it look more like a ball sack is if you added the veins that were added.
yeah. If it didn't have the veins, you could be like, well, yeah, like traditional heart's right side up, but like when you actually get into the science of it, it's not right here all the time, and it's flipped around, and like the shape is different. But it just he can't get out of his own way with that stuff.
Do you think he
Yeah,
just accidentally ordered 5 sets of diamond encrusted truck nuts, and then he's just like, "Fuck, I don't have
threw him on a
5 cards
next.
yet." So fuck.
I think Caleb's a 2025 Prius like limited edition guy.
Ooh,
You could toss some truck nuts on anything.
I mean,
Everything
I
everything
think
could be upgraded
Caleb
by truck
is
nuts.
I was
whipping
thinking
down
more of a
Lakeshore
Kia Soul.
Drive with truck nuts on his Prius, fucking ready
That's
to
sweet.
rock and roll. Just and
It's
he's saving money.
it's double funny if he's doing this stuff on purpose, though. Like,
Oh yeah,
coming up. Yeah, him gifting his offensive line in his rookie season a very humorous gold nutsack necklace pendant is the equivalent of Manziel giving us this after he was accused of making money and NCAA violations. It's exactly the same thing. He's making
Yeah,
fun of what he's being made fun of for or called out
yeah.
on. So
It's like,
it's
are you
exactly the
guilty of
same
a
thing.
crime? Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. And what's also funny is that he could almost do a very similar thing
can
to
you imagine if he
Manziel.
fucking scored and did the ball fondle? That
That
would
would
be
be
insane. That would be
that would be
insane.
If we can get Caleb Williams to do one of these after a touchdown, to a lineman that's wearing his pendant under his shoulder pads, that would be incredible. But I kind of what I talked about
It should
earlier. I
be
have a
like a
little.
gangbang scene in the end zone of like, or a blow bang.
Never been done before in the
I
NFL.
think Roger Goodell would actually get so mad he would go blind. Like he would like just internalize it so angry he'd just be like, I can't see anymore.
His eyeballs would melt.
Yeah.
Um,
Only two thrusts. The third thrust is a flag.
the kind of at the end of like the picks, which led me to my Kansas State pick. Not the same conference, but um, what I thought could spark a little bit is my bold prediction, and it's not to spite any of our friends that are outside of this right now, is that neither FSU nor Clemson win the ACC this year. I think the U or I mean, this one's like a long shot, but like a team that's always fun to just throw around is like maybe not win it, but NC State with it at the top.
I didn't expect my drawer to make that noise.
Yeah. Can't be that.
Cut
That's
it and
common.
post.
That's staying in. That's the clip.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's between that and the ball sack for the clip.
Well, that's good.
Yeah. Also, one more thing I want to sneak in. Um, we need a punishment. So we're gonna pick the slate for NFL every week. So we're all picking the same games. I think we need a punishment for coming in last. I was in a fantasy draft earlier this week, which I don't actually want to do this for this because there's so few of us, and I don't actually want to make someone do this. But I think it might be the best punishment I've ever heard is you have to fly to like a very nice like a destination like that you'd want to go on vacation to, but then you just have to stay in the airport for 24 hours and fly home.
Jesus Christ, that sucks.
That's fucking expensive. But that is funny
Well,
though.
not like Turks and Caicos, but like
Yeah.
maybe somewhere that you could see like
Vegas.
yeah,
Hit the slots for 24
Stay in the
hours.
airport for 24 hours.
yeah. You gotta go to Vegas and then you have to play the slots in the airport until your ticket home is free. Responsibly.
We
that is crazy
in
actually.
college
That's pretty cool.
we did a punishment that was you had a week to match Joey Chestnut's hot dog record. So you had to eat 77 hot dogs in 1 week. Yeah. So we could put that on the board if anyone wants to
You'd make me.
Hey.
yeah.
No, we got to take this year's champ because he was out.
My
That
roommate
would
did
I
it.
would
He had to
become
stop
bulimic.
at 60 because he was shitting blood and he has to go to the doctor. So
That's crazy.
We'll think about something,
okay,
and then we'll bring it next week.
cool.
All right, sounds good, fellas.
All right. So yeah, next week we'll talk a little bit of college football week 1, and we will bet the slate for the first week of the NFL. Looking forward to all that shit. Thank you guys so much for listening, and we'll see you all next time.